Lord, I'm calling. I need your help.
All right, you're welcome back to the next segment of our program today on Armed Forces Radio Service 107.7 FM Abuja. On the second segment of our program, we shall be concluding our discussion last week on how, we discussed extensively, you recall, on irreconcilable differences, on how we can manage it in order that our homes will not, break up, in order to prevent our homes from breaking up. And part of the point we discussed were um, how these irreconcilable differences can destroy our homes. We discussed the issue of emotional disconnection. And when we mentioned one of the things that can implode our homes is when begins the couple begin to live parallel lives in the home under one roof. In other words, when each or the duos of the couple do not have anything to do with themselves, that in and of itself sends a wrong signal. We also mentioned lack of peace, and emotional stability at home. Well, you recall that we discussed that everybody desire to go back home and have rest. The home is a place of rest, actually, because by the time a man or a woman goes back home and is still being stressed out, when I would say there is a problem with it, because everybody desires to go back home to rest, not to move from a war zone to another war zone. So we said part of the way, irreconcilable differences can destroy our homes is when we don't have the home as a home. And recall that in some of our past episodes we have talked about the difference between a home and a house. House, yes, might be a big house, sprawling residence, amazing living room, and stuff like this. But that's a house. What makes it a home is the quality of livingness in that house that makes it a home. So now, if we don't have peace and emotionally in the house we are not stable, then we can't call that a home. Furthermore, we mentioned the issue of separation or divorce. It can happen when irreconcilable differences, atrophies or emasculates all the strength, support base that the home ought have. And we say the toxicity of the home can be reach an intolerable level whereby the couples have to get separated. And I want to thank one of our callers that last week who gave us extensive discussion on this issue of how he was able to manage it, that his home was not destroyed. And very insightful contribution and comment. Furthermore, we talked about emotional detachment and attachment. When we mentioned that, when you have irreconcilable differences, reaching to a certain level, the couple will be emotionally detached from themselves. And like I mentioned, that it is not enough that they are emotionally detached from themselves, but they will be emotionally attached to other people outside the family. And here is the danger here. It's a danger because now the duos of the couple are not finding satisfaction in themselves. And you notice when couples don't banter, when they don't play together, when they don't eat together, when sadly they don't even sleep in the same room, the same bedroom. So the husband has a separate bedroom, the wife has a separate bedroom, and this is the way they live their lives. Honestly, this can implode the home, right? And it can create the barrier. It becomes bigger and bigger and bigger until it eventually implodes the family. So we say, one of the ways through which irreconcilable differences can actually affect the home is emotional attachment and detachment. And lastly, last week we talked about uh, discords or irreconcilable differences leading to marital discourse, and this can affect the children in the home. Sadly, we have a lot of children who are going through experiences that are untoward, not out of their making, but as a result of the kind of families that they came from. And you will notice in some of the children that you interact with outside, you will be able to decipher that this young man or young lady is not coming from a settled home. So today, how can we solve this problem? And that's what we're going to draw the curtain today on our discussion. Now, I want us to interact on this because this is a problem which affects not only the duos of the husband and wife. Now, we cannot say that the